Welcome back to McCarthy Performance. We're working on the 283 and I got a 350 here. We're trying to get some stuff gathered up to put in my hot tank here. Now this tank has ZEP vat stripper. Don't ask me the number, I'm not 100% sure on it. I've been using it for quite a while and it works quite well on rusty stuff and heavy greasy stuff, and I seem to get a fair amount of that lately. Okay, this is the crank that we took out of the 383, and it had Jan's pistons in it. And this is the guy that balanced it. The crank looks bad, but it really is not that bad. Now, this is another crank from a local hot rodder here in town that had it sitting for quite a while. Now, this one, it's got cosmoline or something on it. So we're going to run them both through the tank. We run the block through, of course, the 350. My tank will hold easily 3 engine blocks, so I'm trying to get enough to run a load. Getting into the camshafts on these earlier V8 small block Chevrolets up to the early 60s, they put a notch in the back here, and this uses a CH4 cam bearing and not a CH8 as a newer engine like, say, the 350, which isn't exactly new, but I think you'll get the idea. We're not working on LSs here. So this has got a notch cut in the back of the cam, and that allows you to get the oil to the upper end, so that's got to be there. We've got some new old cams here, and I got to check the numbers because this one says 283, and that's exactly what we want. There's no notch cut on that one, so I'll put it in the V blocks if I have to and notch it. But of course, we're going to verify the numbers because these came from a local hot rodder, and we want to make sure that the cams didn't get shuffled around. I said that I said all 283s have forged cranks. I am mistaken. All the 283s I've ever worked on were steel. Now, you got to be careful with these. They're not drilled. That's usually the first thing we do with them is drill the noses because it allows you to press the dampener on. Some of the noses on some of them were drilled. Now, this one somebody drilled. I'm assuming they did. Now, on the boats, when they ran the in and out boxes, like for the Chris Crafts and that, they drill the nose and they also drill the oiling for the oil to get up past the gear. So you got to be aware of that. But this one's drilled. This one's not. It depends on which crank we're going to end up using on this job. But I want to talk to the owner and make sure that it's all right if I drill the nose, because if we use this crank, I'm going to drill the nose. If I have to put a plug in there and hide it because he wants it original 100%, I'll do that. But most people probably wouldn't catch on to that. Now on the block, it's over in the corner stewing, and this is what I used on it. I used aluminum brightener. It's basically acid. I had a little time. I let the pistons soak. Now I got the pistons to move because they were all froze except one. I got all the pistons to move on this bank here. I set it up right like this bank here, and I filled it up with that aluminum brightener, and I let it set. And as you can see, it's doing something. I was able to move the pistons around, so right now the block is just kind of marinating, if you would. I've sprayed it down with some degreaser, some pretty nasty stuff. It's a ZEP product. So a lot of this is going to clean off. It looks really bad, but it really is not that bad. Now where the cylinders are, where the rings have sat in the cylinders for all the years, who knows? It might need to be bored. But if you notice, there's no mounts on the side of this engine. They were front mounted and then they were transmission mounted back here. So this is an earlier block. So this is kind of, we want to try to save this block if we can. And it's a solid cam engine, and I'm really curious to know if that's an old Harvey Crane high-low, no pop, or 3030 Duntoff, or, well, God only knows what was in there. But this engine actually had Jan's pistons in it, and somebody went through the trouble of balancing it back when they did it. This was somebody's probably pride and joy for a long time. It looked like it had been run for a little bit. So that's where we are on this. I'm going to let this set a little longer, probably wash it, and then I'll start knocking some pistons out of it and get it ready to put in the hot tank. The stuff that I was using on the outside of the block is this Zepp product right here. That's the wrong bucket. I think it's called Bulldog. Yeah, it's called Bulldog. And that stuff is really nasty. You don't want to breathe it, that's for sure. Of course, you don't want to breathe nothing in this hot tank either. This stuff is very nasty. This stuff will remove skin off your eyeballs. Don't ask me how I know. It's nothing to fool with. It isn't a joke. I had some splash up on me and it peeled the skin off my eye. Anyhow, so you know, it's very important to wear safety equipment when you're dealing with this stuff. But a few people I'd talked to online said, you know, you soak it in molasses and that. No, molasses is good, but the stuff in here is we're past molasses. So, anyways, that's where we are on the 283. So yeah, I've got two of them going right now. So they're both 57s. So thanks for watching. So we got the 1957 283 apart and measured the bores, and that's what the acid did to the bores. It cleaned them up, and there was a lot of grit in here. I got lucky. I knocked one piston out. These are moving. There's a couple more that are not moving, and we're probably just going to put a little bit more acid in it, knock the ones out we can get out. It's at 4-inch bore right now, which I just talked to the customer. Feel kind of bad about it, but you know, if somebody needs that engine, it's still a sleevable, doable job. But it really wasn't horrible. It has some rust here and there, but it really isn't too bad. And actually, some of the cylinder walls are, these things are thin as hell, but you know, it's not, I guess it's depends on what you consider scrap, but I mean, if somebody needed that engine bad, it would be easily to sleeve it back down to a standard. The walls are way too thin to try to do anything else right now with it, but that's where we're at with it, and I'm really kind of interested, and so is the owner, to know. We figure this thing was done back in the maybe mid 60s, possibly early 70s, but I'm thinking early, you know, 70s, maybe late 60s. Curious to see if that's what cam's in that thing. I'm wondering if it's got a Harvey Crane high, low, no pop cam in it. So I guess we're going to go ahead and take her apart a little further and get it all boiled out and go from there. But other than that, being bored out a little bit big, it's not, it don't look too terrible bad. Once it goes through the hot tank, it'll probably damn near look like brand new.